Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So joining James Dillon and myself tonight on the show, we have new CageWarriors Flyweight Champion Shanks, who's on the show to chat about recently winning that belt and how life's changed for him since winning the belt. And also joining us on the show, we have Bellator Lightweight Duncan. Chris again now goes 3-0 in the promotion, and it's not only his third win, but it's his third finish. So a really fun show ahead for these guys, and we'll also be talking a bit about Ross Houston versus MVP this coming weekend. Enjoy the show. Look, Chris, thanks for joining James and myself on the show. Obviously, both these must be happy men at the moment.
Aye. Especially coming out without any bumps and scrapes, you know, a bit of sore hands, sore shins, but nothing else, man, and a wee bit of a black eye, but that's about it, man.
Aye, and obviously Luke's been, we'll not get into too much detail, but he seems to have picked up his injuries from probably Tinder dates, to be fair, let's be honest, but we'll not get too deep into that one. So, I'll come over to you first, Luke. Obviously, as we can see behind you now, we can see your new belt, CageWarriors World Champion. How does that feel to hear that when you're hearing that? Is it surreal or is it sunk in yet?
It sunk in as soon as I got the belt around my waist. But no, that's it. I'm keeping it here now because I've been walking around with it for a week, and I'm just going to forget about it now, go back to the gym and keep training, man. Stay humble and keep getting better because I'm not even in the big leagues yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah,
it's a nice milestone. It's an achievement to get to where you are. And obviously right after the. Sorry, on you go.
Sorry, man. Yeah, it's one of them things you look back on it and be proud, but right when you got it, it's like everyone's got a target on your back, and you don't want to get too comfortable with it. You got to keep getting to that next level, and obviously money wise you can't afford to stay in this promotion, but what I've got, it does feel great, man.
Yeah, and that in itself must be motivating. See that you spoke about that target on your back there, knowing that there's guys now looking at you and that they want to take what's yours now. That must be motivating actually to get you in the gym and just work even harder than you have before.
Definitely, man. Yeah, everyone's hungry now, and that show done a lot for the flyweights. Before, like the Night of Champions, there was obviously Sam Ferdinand and Sam Creasy on that one. They were 5 fights down. They built it as like I don't even know if they made the main card on the Night of Champions, and it's like a world title. I thought it was a bit bad by CageWarriors, but I don't know. After my last performance, before that, I think they knew it was going to be a good fight, so they stuck it straight on as a main event, and then build the other fights. And I'm glad the other fights went down so good as well, because now people are real excited to see this defense. So it's done wonders for the division and stuff as well. So I'm happy, man.
Brilliant, and obviously we'll come back to you in a moment. And Chris, again, as we've said, another happy man. Back out fighting for Bellator again. Again, obviously, you had a bit of gap like most fighters. You had a bit of time off due to the current situation, but you went in there, and again, it's not just a win for you. You're not just winning these fights in Bellator. It's impressive. It looks good. You're finishing guys. And how was the overall experience for you? Obviously, flying out there, all the pre-fight stuff in terms of the quarantine, and then walking into that empty arena. What was that all like for you, that experience?
Oh, it was definitely pretty crazy, but I was very, I say humble, but I was very lucky to have been given the opportunity. Going into airports and stuff like that, it just was a bit weird with everybody with their masks on. there was like there's some Asian guys and some Asian folk and that like got the full gear on. They've got like they were like harvesting bees in the airport. It was fucking mental. But once we got there, we did our COVID test and we were in there for 24 hours in the room, and like it was a bit crazy, man, because like they forgot about me in the room, so they gave me no food, so I'm sitting there starving and I'm phoning down saying, can you deliver me food? And they didn't deliver me food until like 10 o'clock at night, and I hadn't eaten since 1 o'clock. And if you've got nothing else to do but sit in the room, you're just starving. But got out the room, and then we were isolated in the hotel, and that was okay. And then when it came fight day, we left the hotel, warmed up. They told us to put our stuff in a bag. I went out, I bleached him, and then I got out. They put us in the bus and sent us back, So it was like I was only in the building for only about 30 minutes. But having the empty arena and stuff like that, like, in regards to people, like, does that make any difference? And I was like, do you know what, man? I was that focused on that guy at that time, and I didn't really hear, like, I don't really hear the crowd as such, but you're subconsciously hearing it. But like, I just was, my coaches, I could hear them a lot more clearer, but I feel that it allowed me to get in tune with my own body a little bit more. I always hate to say it, but it felt like a spa in the sense that there was a little bit more clarity around what was going on with me. But other than that, the only thing that I felt that I could have done better was get in there a bit earlier, because I don't feel I've fought enough in the last 2 years. I've been pro for nearly, it'll be 2 years and it'll be 3 years in April, I think. And I've not fought enough, man. Like, I should be fighting, and especially because I'm bleaching guys and putting them away. Like, I am coming away with not very many injuries, other than sore shins and sore hands and stuff. But yeah, I'd like to get in there a bit quicker. So other than that, man, it was such a great experience. It was crazy.
Yeah, it did look like you were buckling them with the leg kicks in the first round, but you looked like you went up a gear in that second round. Did you feel you just needed that first round just to shake things off?
Yeah, definitely, man. You don't start off a race fucking unless it's 100 meters. You don't start off 100 miles an hour. You get some reads and you get some tells, and things like me pushing them up against the cage at the start. It's like if somebody tells you something's hot, or like, see if you're like out for dinner or that, and then the waitress brings your food over and says, "Be careful, that plate's hot." You always touch the plate to see how hot it is, don't you? So that was what I done with him. The game plan was to push him up against the wall a bit more, because obviously with strikers they get a little bit heavier arms after the wrestle and that. But after I felt I had them up against the wall, I felt like I was far more dominant and far more technically sound in the grappling aspect. But I just wanted to kind of test my striking, because if everybody knows me, I'm more of a striker than I am anything else,
But all in a really good night for you. And James, just quickly, I wanted to bring you in, because it's probably going to be a wee thing I want to talk to you about. And Luke's fight, we kind of spoke to Luke off camera. Obviously, it was an utterly dominating win. He dominated just about every moment of the fight. And for two of the judges, that was reflected in their scorecards. But for one judge, I don't really know what he was looking at. Were you shocked when that scorecard come up? He'd scored all 10-9 rounds, wasn't it? It was 50-45.
Aye, that was Peter Lavery. He's an Irish judge. I think Mark Goddard actually went straight up to him after it as well, and said to him, "What, you've not scored that right," and stuff like that. And a lot of these judges, there was a kind of change with the scoring criteria at the end of 2017. I went to a meeting, the UFC actually, for the events. They were having longer rules meetings, and people were coming in and explaining the new scoring criteria. And part of that was they wanted more 10-10 rounds for rounds that were close, and they wanted more 10-8 rounds. So if somebody clearly won a round, it was to be 10-8, and just so that they could differentiate between a 10-9, which could be the difference in a 10-9 round could be one or two punches to a 10-8, which is starting to be a wee bit more dominant. So this was widespread late 2017, early 2018, and the fact that some of these judges on the implement, that means that they don't really know how they're supposed to be scoring these events. And it sounds weird moaning about a guy scoring a victory, but the week later we obviously had some issues with Callum's fight as well. But you just want these officials to be fucking tight across the board. Like if they're there to do their job, they don't realise the effect it can have on a fighter's career. Not just their money, but they go on a wee bit of slide and stuff like that, and maybe lose fights they shouldn't have. But the fight, I've watched the fight back a couple of times, and I think Luke's won 4 of the rounds 10-8. So the 50-41, the 50-42 were scored perfect. And the general standard, the officiating at Cage Warriors, because Mark Goddard's obviously in charge of it and stuff like that, is pretty high. It's the same level as the UFC, and the fact that Mark's went and had a word with that judge after it, even though he's scored it like he's Luke's clearly won everything, you need to do your fucking job right and score to the criteria that's been set out.
You know, I think they should have see fighters. Do you know how they're like fighters only get to fight, say, 4 times a year? Do you not think it would be a good idea that if fighters were to get paid to come in, and get that choice, like see how Paul Felder's getting to do commentary? Do you not think that there's a gap in the market for them to employ fighters to come in and actually judge fights that they have no relationship with fighters and that?
I think so, man. That happens in America. New York's actually got quite a lot of ex-fighters. I think Sal Ribeiro and stuff like that, and Vitor Show and Ribeiro and that. They guys are now officials for New York Athletic Commission, and they always score and referee better than most of these other guys. I think I would like guys to have maybe a minimum of a blue belt in jiu-jitsu before they can judge a fight, and maybe some experience of striking and that as well, because a lot of them don't know what they're looking at. A lot of them are, in this country, a lot of them are just guys that have been about the sport for a while and just fancied trying something else, or they were a fan and they fancied getting into it. And then in America, the crossover, they're all boxing commissions that sent them over. I think they gave them a very, very kind of shallow rule book to follow and said, right, that's the rules and on you go type of thing. There's constant fuck-ups with the American judging system as well that tends to favour wrestling too much and stuff. But I think the fights are, even local shows, when it's fighters that are scoring, you probably know you're going to get scored better than some of these guys that have never been in a gym, never been on a mat, and never been punched in the face.
And I guess when you refer to obviously the incident with Luke and then with Callum, the difference here is the one with Callum, that's ultimately cost or potentially cost Callum that fight. And is that where the problem lies? That judge can make one mistake one night, i.e. Luke's fight, but Luke's been so clear with the other rounds that he's won anyway. But with Callum, where it's been a close fight, that decision's then cost Callum a fight, which I might be a bit biased here, but I feel like Callum won that fight.
Do you know what the thing was with that was? One of the judges scored at 29-28 to Callum, one scored at 29-28 to the other kid, which is fair enough. It was the 30-27 round, because Callum can clearly win round 1. And that judge actually got sacked the next day. He got sacked, which is what should happen to these guys. And so the way these promotions like that work is it's the same as the UFC and Bellator, where Callum got a certain amount of money for showing up, and then would have got the same again for winning. And it was quite a substantial amount of money as well. So the judge scoring it against Callum was fair enough. Callum didn't do enough to win that fight convincingly, and that was due to technical problems that he needs to fix. And I'll be brutally honest with you, it was the same technical problems that cost him the Cabeza fight in the UFC 2 years ago. And the kid he was fighting there came up over, actually apologised for dragging him into a boring fight and holding him against the fence, and said that he'd watched the Cabeza fight, was struggling with Callum at range, which you could see in the fight with the taekwondo kicks and stuff, and didn't want to go to the ground with him because of his submission. So he's trained pretty much for 3 or 4 weeks to hold Callum against the fence. But the problem there was not so much the judges, it was the referee. There was no point during that fight was the referee telling the guys to get active, which would have happened in the UFC. The following fight, there was a fighter took a guy down and lay in his guard for about 50 or 60 seconds and nothing happened, and he actually stood them back up. So he's no differentiating between somebody stalling on the ground and somebody stalling against the wall. So if he gave them warnings and said, like, improve the position or whatever, and the guys had worked, he'd maybe landed their foot stomps or knee and shit, then fair enough, but he never even warned them, which he should have done. One point in that fight, actually, Callum's like takes his feet off the ground and just kind of floats with the guy holding him, look, he's not trying to take me down. And then eventually the kid actually took Callum down round 3. It was when Callum started elbowing him in the head. So it was a well-installed game plan that totally worked, and fair plays to the kid for winning. Callum's got some work today to fix that stuff. We've been already worked on it, but the referee and the officials there weren't great. We got a bunch of messages for officials I've no mentioned, just saying that seems to be the way it goes over there, with somebody else saying that it was the IMAF officials over there who were officiating pro fights, which they're amateur level officials. They're used to, the IMAF is obviously an amateur organisation, so we're used to dealing with slightly different scoring criteria and 3-minute rounds and stuff like that, and they've ended up getting this big show over there in Bahrain. But it kind of is what it is. But again, if I'm moaning about it when Callum loses, but I'll also moan about it when Luke wins, if they do their job right, then it's fair plays. They've got to do their job the same way the fighters have.
Well, if nothing else, you've got to be consistent with at least your moaning. If they're no, I think you've got to be.
Right.
Chris, look, for you guys, when you see stuff like this, some of the officiating, and it isn't all the time, obviously, but does it make you worried as a fighter going to a judge's decision?
Oh, definitely for me, that's why I'm going out there to try and you know that I know how people say don't let it go to the judges' scorecards. You know that sometimes that kind of annoys me in a way, because obviously I want the fight over as soon as possible, but that it's hard, man, because you could get a guy that just lies in your guard or whatever, but like you say, technical problems like getting stuck against the wall or that, you never know until you're in there, eh? I'm always trying to be nasty. My style is slightly nasty, coming forward, and I tend to, I've not came across a grappler yet that can hold me down in a fight and that. So I'm sure that there's going to be a day that comes that I'm going to get taken down and I'm going to struggle to get back up. But I have faith in my training, and I really do. And I know my grappling. I feel I'm a strong wrestler and a strong grappler, but I don't feel that that's my forte. But that's what I'm working on constantly. I grapple maybe 4 or 5 times a week, just to try and get better, because I say it's my weak point, but I've got some moves, but I feel that you just need to keep practicing your craft and never be happy for where you're at. There's always room for improvement, whether you're 10 years old or fucking 70 years old. There's always room to improve, whether you're an MMA coach or a fighter, You need
to get me young Sean Clancy Jr. to teach you some of the crazy things he's doing, the hurdy-gurdies and all that.
Aye, that's good, man. It just shows you these young guys and that are coming through, and they're doing these. That's why I like martial arts as well, because it allows you to. It sounds a bit cliche, but it allows you to express yourself in a way, that guy. What's his name? Sean. He's obviously been a standout since school, and it's just good to see that he's been involved with a good group of guys in a good gym and be able to showcase that, because a young guy like that can easily go down the wrong route, and he could be another cliche, selling drugs, or because a guy like that will be successful probably wherever he goes, whether it be business, drugs, or martial arts. So it's just good to see that young people are getting that chance now, because if I had that chance when I was 17 or 16, I definitely would have jumped in it, I was too busy walking the hills shepherding.
Well, there's worse things you could have been doing at that age, to be fair. And look, just for you, obviously on the same point there about the judging, is it a concern for you as a fighter that you don't always have faith in the judging?
Yeah, like you're saying, Yeah, Dana White, he spoke about it before. He doesn't have the authority to sack any of those judges, because when he was making this sport an actual sport, he had to bring the boxing commission over, and it's a family-run business. And he can only request a change, and it takes months and months. And then when they change, it's just another family member. So it's like they're not educated, and Dana can't put them on courses or ask them to do anything. They rule themselves. And then if it's like that in the top organisations, you can only imagine what it's like in the ones below that. So yeah, it's one of them things. But it's always been a thing in martial arts, like even in boxing, the judges. It's always sort of been a thing. It's just don't let it be that close, man.
Yeah, and I suppose the downside with boxing is sometimes it's so bad it's quite clear that there's corruption involved. I don't know if how much of that we've got in MMA. I'm sure there's some of it about, but boxing's over the years been pretty bad. And so lads, on to obviously, I know, look, you were talking about want to get back in there as quickly as possible. Have you had any word from Cage Warriors or anything popped up yet about getting back in?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoke to them yet. I think they're still taking a little break, and they'll speak to us as and when. But they asked me if I'm all right since my last fight, and of course, this new date's just popped up today. I think it is. I think it was the 13th or the 14th. It's another trilogy in December, so it gives me a little bit more time to get back into it, because I was going to have to go like straight into it ASAP if it was the end of November date they said before. So it just gives me that extra week to just slowly get back into things and get back to where I was last time.
So give you a wee bit of an extra week to enjoy being the champion.
Definitely, man.
And obviously, Chris, after your fight, you spoke and said that you would like Kiefer Crosby next. Obviously, he then fought Charlie Leary, lost that fight via doctor stoppage. Is that still the fight you want next?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what, man? I was actually that close to getting a fight this Saturday. I put my name forward. I've got a few knocks and a few bumps, but that wouldn't have affected it. But it was that close from getting done. We nearly agreed on it, man. But the guy kind of was a bit back and forth about, because I needed to go through the water loading stage, and I accepted the fight yesterday, and there was no way I was going to make. It was like 71 kilos. There was no way I was going to make it. So I tried to say to him, meet me halfway, because it's not that my body mass is that big. It's actually I just need to go through the process to get the weight down, and I don't have the days to do that.
Right.
So I nearly had a fight on Saturday, but it kind of fell through. So at least the Bellator know that I'm keen and I'm willing to put it all on the line, and I'm ready to go. But in regards to fights and that with Crosby, I feel because he lost, he should fight me. But then people are saying, there's no way he'll get that fight now because he'll be handed a can. But everybody keeps saying, I don't know if it's just because it's the way my head is, but people are like, oh, that's going to be a good fight for you, man. And like same with this one here with that, I can't remember, Furtado. Oh, that's a good fight, man. That's a good fight. Like, I don't know whether people mean that in the sense that like it's evenly matched, but I definitely didn't feel it was evenly matched. And people are like, oh, you're going to wrestle him? I was like, I'm not fucking going to try and knock him out. It's like, I don't know if that's just me being slightly negative towards myself, but I definitely want that Crosby fight. It's like, the way he carries himself in that, man. Like, I walked past him in the hall and I nodded to him and winked at him and to kind of acknowledge him and say hiya, and he's like, I was like, fucking put your carpets down your fucking bell end and fucking say hiya. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like so hostile.
Yeah. I'll let James jump in on this one as well. I'll just quickly give you my two cents. I think you would have had a better chance of the fight if he'd won. And the reason for that is I think they might be, and this is just my opinion, coming off a loss, and I think looking at you, I think the risk versus reward for him, unfortunately, Chris, is probably too high. That's just my opinion, and that's no disrespectful to you. If anything, I think that's positive for you. I think you're just maybe too risky a fight to take coming off a loss, because potentially going 2 losses in a row is extremely high, and I think him and his coach probably would recognise that. James, what do you think? I'll get you to give your opinion on that one.
I think, what was the name of the guy who just beat Chris Fatardo?
Yeah,
I actually think Fatardo beat Kiefer Crosby when he fought him. I was sitting watching it, and I thought he's lost here, and then he got the decision, and I felt quite bad for Fatardo. And then when your fight fell through and they're like, Chris has got Fatardo next, I was like, that it's a short notice fight, might be a wee bit harder. And I was like, the fact that you went through that, boy, the way you did, and Crosby struggled and probably knew if he thinks he won that comfortable, he's lying to himself. He must know, like, he's edged it. And it's like an MMA maths thing. He'll be looking at you, steamrolling that guy. He's hit that guy with everything he's got, and the guy was still there at the end, pushing him. And I think coming off the Charlie Leary thing, I get the impression he's a confidence fighter, Kiefer Crosby, when he's bullying guys and he's flying and he's doing that I'm intense as fuck staring and all that shit. Everyone's happy days for him, but then he's just publicly got executed there after Charlie Leary. Like, everybody's saying that should have been stopped well before the end of the round, and it didn't look good for him, man. He was eating shots, he was all over the place, and then he's obviously been stopped. And I'd imagine he'll be pushing maybe for a Charlie Leary rematch. I don't know if he'll get that, but I think he'll be the last guy once they fight the new, because you've 3 outings at Bellator, 3 stoppages, and the other thing is, and the guys at SPG are no daft. Every time you're fighting now, you're looking better. Like, it's like a better vert. You're showing different stuff. Your range and that's getting better. You're like, and they guys know, like, there's momentum with fighters, and the new is probably not the best time for him to be fighting you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you, but it's just one of those things. Like, everybody's like saying, "Oh, you should fight Charlie Leary." I was like, well, why would I fight that guy if he's just beat Crosby? And like, his record, what's his record? 15-13 or something. Like, he's got good experience in that, and I do think he's a tough fella. But I don't know if, like, don't get me wrong, man. If they send it over, I'll still fight him, mate. But it's one of the things, man. It's like, because I was meant to fight 2 SPG guys before this, Ryan Roddy and Philip Mulpeter, and both of them have pulled out. So they obviously know that I'm a tough fight, because I don't think these guys are always getting injured like they say they are. I think sometimes they get beaten a little bit mentally, because I don't care what anybody says, man. This is a fucking scary sport. This is like, probably every hour of every day you're thinking, oh, I could maybe lose this fight. But I take that as motivation to get to the gym and hone my craft, where these guys just fucking let their arse collapse below them. And it's just, you need to keep focused and stay positively strong and believe in yourself,
Yeah, and that speaks to the side that, I mean, I know we've spoke about it nauseum on here. It's that mental aspect to the game. It's the difference between a gym fighter and somebody who shines under the bright lights. Yeah,
definitely, man, definitely.
I guess the fortunate thing for you, Chris, is being a part of the Bellator promotion. Obviously, if that Kiefer Crosby fight happens, that would be great. It's probably a fight that would be really good for you at the moment, just because of the name value as well.
Yeah,
and you must feel that you're one big name away from really propelling yourself into the top of that division and starting to get the really, really big fights.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I've always been an advocate of earning your spot. So at the moment, I'm really a nobody at the moment. I class myself as being at the bottom of the pile. So I'm looking to showcase that. I've got another 2 fights on my contract, so I'm looking to put these guys, put their name in and just solidify that they know that I'm here, and I'm ready to fight and put it all on the line. Because like you see like Michael Chandler maybe getting a jump up to like the number 1 spot. People are saying he hasn't earned it and stuff like that, but I'm an advocate of earning things like that, and he probably does feel he's earned it. because he's been a champion in another promotion. But I think maybe he should have had maybe 2 fights in the UFC before he was even a challenger for fighting for the belt. But so I'm just looking forward to the future. I feel really positive, and I'm ready to, like, you know, because it's COVID shite. I don't want to talk about COVID on here. Like, I just feel it's such a negative thing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just ready to move and go and train an American top team or upskill, you know, because I do struggle for sparring partners and that. I don't know if it's just because I spar like a fucking idiot or what, but like, it's just like, I'm just desperate to get over and get better, man. And I feel like it's my calling now. It's my time to get moving and get better.
Yeah, well, hopefully all this, we'll not go into the COVID stuff. We've done it before on this, and it is, like you say, it's pretty negative. But hopefully the opportunity does arise for you soon enough, and when the world opens back up and you can get back over there. And look, just obviously for yourself, so who do you feel that your next fight's going to be against?
Yeah, it'll probably be that Hadley, but to be honest, I don't really care, man. I'm heading to the UFC and that's it, man. I don't care who they put in front of me. I'm going to the UFC.
And what do you think in terms of fight-wise? James, you can obviously jump on this. Do you feel that one defence will be enough to get you into the UFC, or do you feel you may have to defend the belt a couple of times? Where are you at with that?
I feel one, but I don't really care, to be honest. I want to be known as like the best in Cage Warriors, and then when you get there, you're worth a bit more anyway. So I don't mind hanging around now. I've already got the gold, so I'll hang around. But obviously, money wise, if I want to make this a full-time thing, I'm just gonna jump on a UFC call. But until then, I'm just going to keep winning, man.
Aye, that's it. That's it. And James, for you, what do you think? Do you think one defence and another victory? Do you think that would be enough to get that call?
The way it stands right now, like Sean Shelby's aware of it. I messaged him the day before his fight, and then after it, basically just saying that he's at the fight unscathed. He can go at flyweight with a week to 2 weeks notice. He can go at bantamweight. He's big enough to fight at bantamweight event in Cup on Fight Island. And he emailed me back just saying keep him near his weight, keep him healthy, and so he is aware of him, so he knows about him. I think the next fight for him is Hadley, is Jake Hadley, and it was lined up that way. Hadley was on just before, like with Shaq. They're the two best guys in the country, maybe Europe at that weight. And Hadley's a fantastic fighter. He's got a great gym. And Cage Warriors on the draft, if you look at the way the cards were all lined up, every title fight had the next challenger on the card as well. So it made everything a wee bit easy for Ian Dean just for the next bunch of fights coming up. So it was always going to be Hadley, because to be fair on Shad Hack, he was never going to beat Jake Hadley. He's too young, too physical, and Shad should quite a lot of time out. So that'll be the fight. And whether Luke Custom maybe defend the belt a couple of times, there's some other good fighters there. And then it'll just be a matter of time. You can see Jack Cartwright's now defended his bantamweight title twice. He's talking about getting his third defence in so he can keep the belt outright before he's going to end up in the UFC. He's fantastic. I think Mason Jones is probably going to end up there, double champ there and stuff like that. So we've got options for Luke. The next fight will be Hadley in December in London, and then he's even toying with the idea of maybe going up to bantamweight and doing the two belt or 2 weight division champion thing. Maybe wait till Jack Cartwright fucks off to the UFC. Just let that division open up a wee bit. Jack's like a big bantamweight, and he's obviously exceptional. So there's options there, but Sean Shelby is aware of him. So whether it takes a couple more fights through Cage Warriors or whether Sean messages just saying, "Is your guy good to go for Fight Island? We've got a gap here." Like you've seen Cameron Else just signed, and this is a really common thing now with the situation at Fight Island. It's how that Cam's gets signed, and if you're ready to go and they need somebody at that weight, and like I said, Sean's aware. Look, he's a CageWarriors World Champion. The number of fighters that go for that show to UFC obviously is well documented. So then now we'll focus on the December date, and if anything else comes up before that, then so be it. But he's still only 25. He's a world champion in an organisation that feeds to the UFC. It's on Fight Pass and whatever else. So if we keep progressing it, like I said, we're watching Chris. It's like you've got these guys that are getting better every fight, and that's what you want to see, man. It's that progression is a great thing to see, and looks like that. You can see it for when he came here. He was kind of one-dimensional. He had that Conor Hignett fight, and then he had the Menga fight, and then he just went up another level again. And we'll be looking to do that again in December against arguably his hardest opponent to date. But it'll be the same for Jake, and then we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Just before, obviously, I'd like to jump into, we've obviously got Ross Houston coming up this weekend. But before we go into that, Chris, having a wee look at your Instagram during fight week and stuff like that, it seems like you don't really give your coach Adam much peace. He can't seem to have a wee drink or a wee biscuit without some. So how annoyed does he get with you with that?
Oh mate, you should see my fucking phone. It's flooded with that shit. I got one. In fact, I was doing it to my grandpa today. Did you see my Instagram with my grandpa today?
No, I never seen that one. I'll need you.
He's moving house, and he was up the loft, and he was like pulling chairs doing that, and I scanted him. He's up the loft and that. Oh man, I just it's such a hard time cutting weight in that, man. It's hard. You need to try and make things happy, and but Adam's his own worst enemy. He's an absolute fucking animal. Like, have you seen him eating?
I saw the one. I think he's at the puggy and he's just. I don't know if he's chewing a biscuit or something like that. I can see the camera shaking. You're clearly just sitting there giggling at yourself, watching him like a wee boy.
He's a fucking animal, man. I'll send you some videos. It's fucking brilliant.
Right. You can send me videos. Look, don't you send me any videos.
I'm not surprised you want
that. So aye, and James, you've got the opposite problem with Luke. It's Luke showing you his phone. That's how has that been since he won the belt? Has he been showing you any his recent adventures?
I've heard all about it, man. I knew it was going to happen as well, but I have the number. I have some certain number 10 in 6 days. Apparently, I don't know what that means, but it's something like the Tinder. And then something about the quality of the girls he's attracting on Tinder has went up now that he's got a belt, apparently.
Birds are all like magpies, man. They're all just hanging around shiny shit.
Don't tell him these birds are his fucking 5'5". He never tells anybody about the date he turned up sitting on in his car seat. He had pillows sitting on the seat to make himself look 5'11". Tell some girl he's 5'10" or something. And to meet her, had to sit on pillows in the car seat.
What's the thing? What's the thing there, Luke, when you tell her you're 5'10"? Are you trying to think, right, I'm going to get some... Still, are you just... You fuck it,
They do like the 6 foot club, man. So some of them, it says there's a line and it's like, don't message me if you're under 6 foot. So I always send them a message.
So I can only imagine what he'll be like if he gets 2 belts and gets into UFC. Imagine it on the profile, double champ UFC fighter. Well, I take it you'll be expecting all 10s then, Luke, once you get to that status.
Oh man, yeah, well, we'll have to see how things go. I mean, scarred after.
Luke seems like the type of guy that will settle for a 3.
Well, I've heard some stories.
I might be a Virgin Mary after this one, man.
So, obviously, I guess for the Scottish interest, we've got a big fight coming up at the weekend. Obviously, it's the first big promotion in France, putting on a show. We've got Scotland's own former Cage Warriors champion as well, Ross Houston. He's going to be going in there and fighting Michael Venom Page. I think, Chris, I'll get your opinion first. Straight off the bat, it's a massive opportunity for Ross right off the bat in Bellator, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But people say, "Oh, it's a hard, tough fight for him," But if you for Luke, he's going to be defending his belt and winning his belt, and he's going to jump straight into the UFC. It's going to be the same thing, man. He's not going to get any tune-up fights. Ross is wanting to fight at the highest level, so who else would he actually fight? There's no point in getting a can. So everybody's like, "Oh, that's a hard, tough fight." You got to remember, I went into Bellator at 4-0, and when I did that last minute fight, and then I fought Sam Slater. No, I was 3-0, he was 2-0. So it was that was equal. And I feel Michael Venom Page is equal as Ross, because Ross isn't a mug, Ross can fight. Ross is a Cage Warriors world champion. And so is Luke. So when Luke goes to the UFC, he's going to get good opponents. So I kind of, doesn't irritate me, but it kind of, it's people are like, "Oh, it's a hard, tough fight." But that's what Ross wants. That's why he's in this game. Yeah. So I feel he's going to take it in his stride and get the job done, man. I hope he makes an ugly fight, because that Venom Page is dangerous, but I think making it dirty and making it scrappy will definitely push it. And, because I don't think Michael Venom Page has got good wrestling, and I think Ross has got pretty good wrestling. It's actually not too bad, to be honest.
Yeah, and James, I'll get you in on this one as well, because there's another side to this. I'm assuming Ross is seeing this, and I'm assuming it motivates him as well, because you will be seeing people on there, clearly just uneducated fans calling Ross a can and stuff like that. And there's no Cage Warriors champions who are cans, really. I mean, Cage Warriors are a solid promotion, and if you're winning a belt in there, you've definitely got something about you. Do you think that's something that will be spurring Ross on?
I think I've seen that online and shit as well, man, but that's made a reflection of MVP, because he has been fighting guys that are undersized and handpicked for him. And I think these guys who don't know who Ross is kind of think it's the next guy in the line for him type of thing. But the kind of hardcore fans know exactly who Ross is. They've seen him at Cage Warriors with his run there and his title defences and that famous Dalby fight and stuff like that. And it's the first time in a long time I can remember everybody in the kind of Scottish MMA scene being together, and everybody wants Ross to put it on this guy. And he's more than capable of it. I think if he gets past the style's horrific, more than anything else. His MVP styles is a hard thing to prep for, but Ross is smart, man. He's got a good fight IQ. I've seen him in fights adapt and stuff like that. His self-belief's off the chart as well, and I think once he gets settled in there and he's maybe taking some of the shots that Page is throwing and he's like, "This isn't that bad," he'll have his moments, and all it takes is Ross to get one or two of the moments and he'll put him away. I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the occasion or the opponent. I think some of that Dalby fight would have prepped him really well for it. Dalby's got that kind of bouncy in and karate style before. He's a UFC vet, so Ross has had that. And then looking at the kind of face-off today, Ross has got some height on him. And Page's whole game is that in and out and everything long. And he looks sensational against some of these lightweights coming up, like David Rickles and Fernando Gonzalez and stuff like that, who's got massive amounts of size on. And he's not going to have that in Ross. And I don't know what Ross's game plan will be. It'll be similar to Lima's, I think, boot the calf to bits, slow him down and then get a hold of him. And it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be a really exciting fight. I really think Ross can get the job done. And in one fight, he's probably going to change his life if he gets that win. Put himself right up there, maybe top 5 at Bellator. He'll be looking at Lima and stuff like that, and maybe who else is up there. But he can definitely get it done. But this online shite about mismatch and all this stuff is just because of what Page has been doing before, the guys that he's been fed before. And to an extent, some of the way he's put some of the guys out, obviously, has been impressive. But I think Ross gets past the first 3 or 4 minutes with him and can start really causing him some problems and stuff.
Yeah, and I think the thing with the online stuff, generally, if you click on anybody that's saying that, you'll generally find that it's going to be Americans.
Yeah, especially with Page.
Yeah,
especially with Page, because he has got a massive fan base, and a lot of eyes on him. Because when you watch him, you're going to get the flying knees or the 1-punch walk-off knockouts and the fucking Pokeball and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get that kind of. He's a proper showman and stuff, and he has a talent. But it's good to see him getting fights like Tesla Ross as well. Like, you're excited with the Daly fight, although it kind of pans out, it ends up being a bit of a bore, and then you're excited with the Lima fight. But Ross will probably be one of the hardest fights he's had, maybe outside of Lima, I think, because Paul Daly was kind of past his prime, as you've seen, which went on with him missing weight and talking about retiring, and I think Page got in his head a wee bit. But Ross is probably in his prime or approaching it right now, and he's a big physical guy with like I've said, with a lot of self-belief and a relatively good fight IQ. So he'll cause Page problems. It's not going to be any kind of walkover for him.
Yeah, and that is the thing you see when you see the stature of the two next to you. Ross is just a bigger human being than Page.
Is there a height difference as well?
Yeah, he's taller. He's
they're going to be a height difference though between him and Page.
I think the fight's at 175 as well, by the way. I think Page, my nutritionist, is working with Ross, and I heard that it's at 175 now because Page can't make the weight.
Right.
So
I was going to say that suits Ross because getting to 170 for Ross, obviously I don't know how, but Ross is a big guy. It's obviously. I mean, that's a cut for Ross, isn't it? That is and you know as well, Chris, and well, you all know, obviously, those extra, I mean, 5 pounds makes a massive difference in a weight cut, doesn't it?
Fucking right, man. Like, that's actually, see, I've had these 2 fights at 160 because it's been last minutes. It's far better for my health. Like, I can make 155 pretty easily in the sense that I can make it, but I just need more time. I just need a couple of weeks extra because it's just a time thing. I just need my body to start adapting to things. But see that 160, man, I can make that. I was ready. I was on weight 3 weeks before the fight, and it was actually a harder thing for me to maintain my weight. I was actually out eating Nando's and that at the weekend, having a bit of chocolate here and there, and that 160 is a good weight for my health and good weight for like being like fighting quite frequently. If I'm going to start fighting at 155 a lot, it does take it's a lot. There's a lot more at the other end of the fight. Like things like your body starts to go into a rebound and stuff like that. You do pack on the weight a little bit more afterwards, just because of that. Your body's trying to get that homeostasis, just trying to find that balance again, because you just put through turmoil with a water load in and all that sort of shit. So, and psychologically as well, fighters definitely have some sort of body dysmorphia. Well, I know I do. I have a bad relationship with food now because of fighting. So that's why I'm always trying to stay in some sort of shape. But that 175 for Ross, I think it'll be a plus because I think he's the bigger guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good one, and it's like you say, James. It has kind of got everybody in Scotland all rallying round in support for Ross. I think everybody in the MMA community knows how good Ross is and knows how tough this fight is for him, but also the opportunity is massive. And look, for you guys as well, Chris, look, when opportunities like that come up for a fighter, you've just got to grab them with both hands, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. He's got nothing to lose, so it's even better for him. There's no pressure on him. It's all on Page.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, totally agree.
And I guess for you, Chris, you're obviously in the same promotion. You're kind of looking for sort of Ross has got that massive opportunity against that big name. And that's kind of where you're at, isn't it? You want that big name just to propel you.
Yeah, man. I think actions speak louder than words. I don't think names, in the sense, you don't want to fight cans, but I don't feel like that fighting that name is going to make Ross the superstar that he is. I think that's destined to be within him anyway, whether he fought, say, Michael Venom Page or, say, fought some other welterweight, you know, like, is it Larkin? Like, if you fought him, you know, like, whether Ross is going to put himself in that limelight, it's not just because of Page, you know. Ross is a superstar in his own right, and so am I, you know. So, like, whether you've seen the fights that I've had, you know, like, I put the pressure on. I try and make the fight as exciting as possible, not for the fans, but for myself. I go about my life as the way I fight, you know. So, like you say, it's like, it's not Page that's making the fight. It's also Ross. Yeah, and he's on his path, and I just think that we both need to just keep focusing on ourselves. And as soon as they send over that contract, sign it and just blitz them, and we're slowly going to build our brand like what Page has done, because Page has made his brand out of being exciting and knocking these boys out. So that's exactly what we need to do.
And Chris, actually, I don't think I've asked you this in any recent times. How's it been training, obviously, at the new facility and all that as well?
Oh, it's good, man. It's, Adam moved on from MXP and got his own gym. It's been a lifetime goal for him for a long period of time now. So it's good. I'm taking a step back from PT and stuff like that. So, because I'm still working full time at the moment, man. It's hard going, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a step back from PT from now on, and PT people that are easy and understand that I do need to put training first. The new facility, man, it's brilliant. It's just that unfortunate with this COVID that it's, well, you'll know as well, James, that it's just put a dampener on actually getting young fellas in and building that fight team up again, you know, because eventually it runs out. You know, you can't, like, I'm going to get older and I'll not be able to fight anymore. So there needs to be a process for young lads to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. And James, what else is, just before we finish up, what else have you guys got coming up in the pipeline fight-wise? Have you got anything else scheduled anytime soon?
So Luke's been moved to December, obviously. Just pretty cool. The coolest thing that happened was recently announcing it's in the York Hall in Bethnal Green, which is a really famous kind of fight venue, CageWarriors, just to happen there. And some really big every kind of top level boxer that's ever come out the UK is fought there, so it's pretty cool. We're working on just now a pro debut for Mark Ewan. I think we're going to try and get that in before the end of the year. I think Celtic Gladiators is probably looking at that in November. I think it's 14, so we're just waiting on an opponent for that. And then Brave's going to be in touch for Callum, I think, for the start of next year. So that's about it. There's obviously a lot going on. I think CageWarriors have kind of verbally agreed to sign Stevie McIntosh. Right. So I think Ian and Graham are having a meeting this week about how many signings they're going to take and what weight classes. But Stevie was kind of at the top of the list there because they agreed to take a fight short notice, and the opponent never took it. So hopefully he'll be done in London, when we go down the look. But there's not a lot going on, man. These new restrictions, we had classes going on that are now we're not allowed classes. So tomorrow we'll get a couple hours a day open gym time, which is for guys to come in, the same people that were coming to classes to come in, but there's not a coach to coach them. So now they're coming in and I'm giving them a bit of paper where I work out to meet these fucking stupid guidelines.
You'll meet just whisper in their ear.
We'll write it on a whiteboard, and then if you get stuck there and give us a shout. But the pro guys are still going to be training separately for that. But there's so many people just like, I want to do jiu-jitsu, I want to roll, and nobody knows what the fuck's going on. So the gym's kind of, it's almost at a standstill to an extent, other than the kind of pro guys. I'm just keeping them ticking over, but Christ knows, man. But that's what we've got on now.
Nah, it's frustrating. It changes from day to day, and you don't have a fucking clue what's going on. It's
fuck Nicola Sturgeon.
It's fucking Look, you're fucked. What you got to do if they decide up in Scotland that you can't meet anybody for other households?
Did you see that thing on Twitter the other day? It's like, you can kiss your granny in her pub, but you can't kiss her in the house and all that.
It's fucking, it's mental times. It's mental times.
I'll have to get one of those VR things. A full setup with boobs and everything.
And you're not staying in the gym at the minute? James, you better get the cleaners in, no, for COVID. Just don't put a black light in Luke's room.
He bought a mansion with a Cage Warriors plus, man. He's got like a 5-bedroom mansion.
Yeah.
One of the doll sisters named the Navy cars.
So, well, listen, guys, thanks very much for coming on. It's obviously been good to chat to you, and again, congratulations, Luke, on winning the Cage Warriors title, and Chris, for you, congratulations again on another win and another impressive win at that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again, guys. Appreciate it.
No, brilliant. Thanks very much. Cheers, everyone.